we are making Paver sandwiches. In these tough times, as things get more expensive, it's going to be hard to feed a large group of people or even yourself. This is a recipe with cheap inputs. You can use any meat you like, but these are my recommended things that I do. This is a recipe with two ways of doing it. The first is going to be frying it up, and the second is going to be baking these. The frying is more for a 1 or 2 day span of consumption, like for a lunch or you are making a whole bunch in advance. The baking is for creating your own MREs, long-term, sealed in crust, less moisture, less rotting, and also easier to pack for longer distances, like for say you're going hiking or camping. This is the general basis of the Paver. It is a grilled cheese sandwich fried and soaked in butter and then filled with meat and cheese and peppers, pickles, and also fried eggs. A perfect companion for a construction worker or for someone trying to feed a growing child. It is a hard thing. It is not a hard thing to do. The first step you do is you take your butter and, given the rate of melting, it's best to probably cut about this much or so for every 2 sandwiches. We're not frying it in it, we're melting it. Then we take your bread for a slice, and after the butter melts, we're soaking it in. You want it to be pretty evenly coated. This will act as the seal and also add a lot more extra protein. We are demonstrating the fried method first. This way, and this pan will be used for the bake method. Bake method's a bit more dry. I do not recommend you warm it up in the microwave, it'll become sloppy. It's meant to be eaten in the field with some water so that you can easily have a digestible, quick boost of protein and energy when you need it. That's one. That's one. That will do for the first one. Next, you're going to have to add some sauce. My favorite is balsamic. It's like ketchup. You can put it on anything. Try it and you'll see. But back in the days before I became more conscious of my health, I would use mayonnaise as the moisture and lubricant. I used to have a health problem. I had a too small esophagus. I couldn't eat well. I would choke up things. So, to make things better for myself, I would just make my own food that I could survive on without having to go to the hospital. Now, the reason we grind the cheese up like this, my method is simply to chop it up and then put it in the blender to render it like this. Then the next stage of this is the peppers. You'll want jalapenos work pretty well. They complement the flavors. Then you'll want some pickles. These add acidity and they also add a bit of crunchy sweetness to counterbalance the earthiness of the heat. Then you use the meat. I'm using granny style head cheese, but any ham or any other meat will do as well to act as basically a topping to put the food on. And I'm going to fry up an egg. Side up. The thing with eggs is that you don't need a high heat. 3 or 4 is just fine, provided they have a lid. And the reason you do that is so that the butter will fry it up without needing really non-stick. This to add protein, but also to add a kind of savory counterbalance to it. You can make this for yourself for the rest, but this is merely the prep. Now, as this is cooking, let's put everything back in order. We don't need spills here.
Question for you. How did you come up with the name Paver Sandwich?
I was drunk.
Okay.
And I made this, and I made the first one, and the first pressing I made of it was with an actual paving stone.
Wow.
Very clean one, well polished, cleaned, and I crushed it underneath. Also the result. It looks like a paving stone itself. It's flat, it's hard, it's thick, it's solid, but when you bite through the half shell, you'll find it's nice and soft and creamy almost, and absolutely delectable. Like biting through a hard-shelled creature to reach the sweet meat inside, kind of like crab. I wanted to create a meat sandwich that would give. I wanted to make a sandwich that even a vegan would appreciate for the carnality of eating meat. Now let's see here. This is as good as it needs to be. We don't want it too cooked, otherwise it'll become too hard. We want it to be relatively liquid when we put this together, so it soaks into the bread. Easy does it. Crush. These are cheap ingredients. I try to buy the best bread I can. This comes from a small business called the Colonia, not far from here.
What kind of bread is that?
This is double rye bread.
Oh,
This was freshly baked this morning.
nice.
And I know they don't use canola oil or any of the other stuff that's so increasingly bad for our health. Now, you'll want to press down here. You'll need to flatten the sandwich in order to make it cook faster. And also for the egg to cook and the cheese to melt and the head cheese. I use it because it's mostly gelatin and the heat makes it melt into all the rest of the sandwich and also into the bottom and cook in the surrounding area. You'll want to be easy and lift it off. Let some of the sandwich stick and it comes apart. Notice that bit of French toasting?
Yes.
That's the reason I added the egg in that steak, so that it would soak in. This is a savory thing. If I were making this for a child, I would have been boiling up some tomatoes, running them through the food mill, and then turning that into soup with some basil and some other herbs, and thickening it up with maybe a bit of cornstarch or also some leftover bread, and then serving that alongside this with maybe a small salad about the size of a fruit cup. The sandwich is done when the cheese is completely melted. And there's a hard, now, one of the hazards of this is you lift it up too suddenly and it sticks, and then it messes up the alignment of the pieces of bread. Smell that. a fewer brownish stuff. If you cook it too long and too high, the bread itself will burn. And there you have it.
Wow.
This is a paper sandwich. This is actually pretty cheap. One of these, let's see if I can calculate the cost. This is $7.38, so it's basically around 73 cents a slice. The cheese is about maybe $1 or maybe less. So maybe 50 cents worth of cheese. The jalapenos, maybe about a few pennies. And same thing with this. This was around $2, so probably about a quarter or so. Making this less than about $2 a serving, maybe 3. Now we're going to demonstrate how to properly bake this. We're going to use a different pan here.
All right, cut.
What we're doing is a little less.
All right.